Hello, I am Menelik Paul Carbon Coates with my father, Mr. Coates. Mr. Coates, where and when were you in the Black Panther Party?
I was in the Baltimore chapter from 1969 through 1971.
What did you do?
I was a defense captain.
You mean you were in charge of all the guns?
Actually, Menelik, the Panthers rarely carried guns openly. We always had guns in our homes because, as we saw it, the black community was constantly under attack, particularly by police. So what we needed at the time was a force to defend ourselves and our communities. But not just with guns. Part of defense was setting up programs to make the community strong and provide the basic necessities. The Panthers had free clothing and shoe programs, free food programs.
Like the stuff they do for homeless people now?
Well, this was in the 1960s, before homelessness was so noticeable. So setting up programs that fed people for free was a really big thing. It was a way of pointing out that America underserved black people, particularly by black children.
Were there people in the Black Panther Party you admired?
I admired Huey P. Newton, the founder of the party. Black people were used to histories in which there weren't heroes who stood up against white oppression. So for Huey P. Newton to stand up and call the police pigs.
He really said that?
He really did. And tell the police, if you shoot another black person, I'm shooting you. And if you don't beat you with the gun, I'll beat you with the law book. For a black person to do that and survive was very, very heroic.
Could you explain about the beating them with the law book?
Black people's rights in the courts were not protected, so we had held political and legal education classes so the community would become knowledgeable about the law. In fact, the Panthers followed 10 principles taken directly from the Bill of Rights, like the right to bear arms and the right of free speech. These are traditional American values guaranteed by the Constitution. You see, we didn't have a problem living under America's laws if those laws could be applied fairly and equally.
At one time, though, would the Panthers actually go kill policemen if a policeman killed a black person?
You did have shootouts between Panthers and police, but most of it was police sitting up and shooting Panthers, even though the Panthers got the rap for it. See, the Panthers use rhetoric to avoid shooting.
What's rhetoric?
What we call a fat-mouthing. The Panthers were masters of the threat about what we gonna do. A lot of Panthers came off the street and they knew a lot of times you don't have to fight if you tell people I'm gonna kick your butt if you cross me, I'm gonna hurt you. That's all you have to say. The ability to use words has great power in the black community.
Is that like black power?
Like, black power is the ability of black people to think for themselves, to speak for themselves, and to do for themselves. People use the term to talk about the movements of the 1960s, but black people have always struggled for black power. Early on, it manifested itself in a resistance to slavery. In the civil rights time, it manifested itself in the struggle for the right to vote. Black power is a force for equalizing. It's not about blacks wanting to be superior or to treat anyone badly. It's simply a way for us to be equal in this world.
Okay, thanks, Dad. Mr. Coates. We also found out that the Black Panthers were also in Chicago, Illinois, and the people involved in this one were Fred Hampton, he was age 21, and Mark Clark, age 22. The police lied and said there was a shootout between them and the Black Panthers. Police had put in holes in the door with nails and tried to tell everyone that there was a shootout. The raid was led by Cook County's Attorney Edward Harnahan, J. Edgar Hoover. The FBI had been fighting against people who thought black people should have civil rights and the other minority leaders over the years to destroy their Cupertino program, to expose, disrupt, to neutralize the activities of the Black Nation hate type organization. Although the FBI did the whole thing, the federal grand jury said the Bureau was in the raid with the FBI during the raid.
Also about the Black Panthers, this was in Georgia Atlanta. The people involved were Huey Percy Newton and Bobby Seale. The Black Panthers were formed in California in the year of 1966, and they played a short but important part in the civil rights movement. The Black Panther Party very much believed that the campaign of Dr. Martin Luther King had failed. Any promised changes to the style of their lifestyle, via the traditional civil rights movement, would take more time to be implemented or simply not be introduced to anyone. The language of the Black Panther Party was mostly violent, as was their public stance. Two founders of the Black Panther Party were Huey Percy Newton and Bobby Seale.
Another one was in Chicago, and there was David Dellinger, the National Mobilization Committee, Renee Davis, Thomas Hayden, Abby Hoffman, and Jerry Rubin were involved. The Chicago Eight had indicated federal charges of conspiracy and innocent of rampage at the Democratic Convention that took place in Chicago, who were the people who said they were not guilty. The trial for the had begun. 8 anti-war activists had started in Chicago March 20th. The defendants also had included David Dellinger of the National Mobilization Committee, Ray Davis, and Thomas Hayden from the Students of the Democratic Society, Abby Hoffman, and Jerry Rubin, founders of the Youth International, Bobby Seale of the Black Panthers, and two lesser known activists, Lee Weiner and I don't know how to say that.
Weiner.
Weiner was one, and John Fromies was another of the 8 where the anti-war activists had begun in Chicago on March 20th. Defendants included David Dellinger of the National Mobilization Committee, NMC, Renee Davis, and Thomas Hayden, the Students of the Democratic